Hi everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're taking a look here at Chiliz, kind of seeing what's going on. Got a lot of requests for this one recently, and I can totally see why. And we'll go ahead and take a look at that and much more, of course. And just know when it comes to Chiliz, there's a lot of fundamental stuff going on as well. So sometimes it'll take off based on specific alignments with different teams. You want to do your own research on this one, of course, but minus that, we can look at the technical side of things and kind of see where there's some key support levels and resistances are, and make sure we understand. Again, as per usual, best practice and big picture. So taking a look at Chiliz. Before we do, I just want you to know I'm not a financial advisor. I love teaching people to trade, and that's just something I'm passionate about. It's been a very great experience too with my community. So feel free to consider becoming a community member. CryptoCash.tech is a site. Link down below, and what I do is I just provide you with a trading academy, teach you everything I know. There's a community aspect too where we all learn and grow together, and of course, icing on the cake, I send out signals for every single trade that I take. So if you want to follow along, you can, or just generally give you some structure and helping understand how to essentially create and design your trade style, because everyone has different styles, and I think it needs to kind of adjust with the type of environment we're in. We're kind of more so range bound for the moment with Bitcoin instead of bullish or bearish. We're kind of in that potential transition right now. So in that sense, it's important to recognize there's different strategies for different seasons, you could say. All right, anyways, take a look here at Chiliz. What we want to look at is a handful of things. First of all, I got the moving averages up on the daily. We can see we're above all three of them, and we're creating this ascending type of trend with the 20-day simple moving average. In other words, the 20 is common, at least initially, to see the smaller time trends. Okay, so in other words, it's kind of moving ascending with this trend line here, kind of reiterating the fact that we are still bullish on Chiliz. Now, doesn't mean it's going to shoot to the moon, but it does imply that there is a chance for it to continue higher now that we've broken through this most recent rejection at 22 cents, right? So why don't we take a look at kind of the larger stuff here and kind of see if there's any other trends we can identify. We can kind of see that we have broken this descending type of trend where the price action couldn't come any higher. That's confirmed, right? That basically tells us we're no longer bearish on Chiliz. I think it takes, it's pretty obvious to see, but generally speaking, you need to recognize that the price action has switched from bearish to bullish, and it really didn't have much range-bound activity minus this short period, okay? So maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and that was it. So it's doing fairly well considering the market and the condition of Bitcoin right now, right? Bitcoin keeps hitting the reset button, and Chiliz, while it did reset a little bit recently, it recovered and it responded fast. All right, so another thing to kind of look at here, we can kind of see somewhat of a line here, right at about 24 cents. And that is essentially going to go ahead and work as a potential resistance. We can see the price action coming up there to test that, and it has hit that level multiple times, both on the downside and the upside. So just keep in mind that is a potential resistance level. And last thing we could do is, let's take a look at some of the other standard stuff first. So with the relative strength index, we can kind of see we are over 70 now. Now, typically in a lot of cases when the price comes over 70 in bullish momentous trends, which we've identified is happening right now, it will continue to stay above 70 for some time. So recently it stayed above 70 on the RSI for no less than 5 trading days, maybe 4 or 5 trading days. It's a positive sign in a lot of cases, kind of telling us, hey, that worked as a support level. Even though the price action kind of got rejected out and it came below 70, for the most part, 70 should work as a support level again moving forward, especially if we break through this 24-cent range. So if we can break above that and kind of consolidate at that area, great chance we're going to see the price action continue higher. Another great thing is that we're up above the 200-day simple moving average. So if the price even were to come back down and reject, we likely have that as a support level too. Okay, so it's okay if we lose this ascending trend. We could be range bound, bounce off that key level of support. Bitcoin has a good day, Chiliz takes off. That's essentially what we could see. Now, granted, Chiliz could take off without Bitcoin having a good day because we can see some independent behavior here. Because if you take a look at this and then you take a look at Bitcoin, there's a dramatic disparity between the two, okay? And that's a good thing. You want to be able to try to identify coins that are doing this, all right? So obviously it's looking good here. We had a MACD convergence, so to speak, where it bounced. So mostly bullish on the macro, right? Macro's looking pretty good. What about the midterm? So on the 4-hour, we're above all moving averages. That's standard, very good. We also have, an overextension on the RSI on the 4-hour. I don't particularly love an overextension on the 4-hour on the RSI. I really think that in all likelihood, it probably should reject and possibly try again. There's a chance of that. But generally speaking, this is a very, very aggressive push to the upside. I'm willing to speculate we're getting overextended as well, which we are. So in a lot of ways, this this push to the upside should have dissipated by now. It should have calmed down and relaxed right here and consolidated and then legged up, but no, it got kind of greedy and legged up in the last 8 hours, right? So to me, we could very well see a rejection with a likelihood of a bounce. There's a possibility of that. Okay, so again, different thought processes, depends on how you want to look at it, but generally speaking, looking pretty good. Obviously, a MACD convergence occurred. That was 2 days ago, and it's been ramping up ever since. So in all reality, Chiliz is looking good, but it does look like it wants to pull back a little bit and likely get rejected at this level. And how far it pulls back is really not a big deal. It could pull back, honestly, anywhere as low as 18 cents and still be okay, because it would still be honoring this ascending trend. It would be still establishing higher lows, and it would effectively be in good shape. All right, so those are things I like to look for. So I'm hoping to see a pullback on Chiliz to somewhere in the 18 to 20 cent range and potentially take it along to the upside. That's definitely something that could and should maybe be a consideration. So taking a look at the Ichimoku cloud, obviously, big surprise, all green lights to keep your long position open. Just note, we're overextended. When you have an overextension of this magnitude, it can definitely kind of lead to some things, in other words, things such as pullbacks. And here's an example. So if we obviously just kind of in retrospect, we see we hit a 9 and it continued to a second 9 and it turned around, right? Kind of like that barbell pattern. We can see the same thing happen here as well, right? This guy coming up to this guy, and we're at a 7 right now. So we hypothetically have 2 more hours before we see rejection at this level to the downside. Again, no guarantees, but in a lot of cases, you see 2 9s in a row on the 1 hour, and you also have a 9 concurrently on the 4 hour. The likelihood of a pullback is extremely high. Okay, so just keep that in mind. That's roughly where we're at here. Not saying you should short, but this does feel like it might be a decent shorting opportunity. But again, if there's some fundamentals you want to do your own research and find out, that could very well push the price action higher. Because again, if a lot of higher level traders are going to have key level, know this was a resistance at about 24 cents, and the likelihood of a pullback there is greater, so they're going to set their stop loss right around 25 cents. The price action pushes through 25 cents, a lot of those stops will get stopped out, and the price goes up faster because of it. So just be mindful. It's not exactly advised to take a trade to the downside with this guy here. Just saying, in general, it looks more likely to pull back than it is to continue to increase. But if you've seen Chiliz history, it can absolutely outperform, and you could get wrecked if you don't have a stop loss in place. So if you do take a short, just make sure you got a stop loss and see kind of where you're at there. All right, that's kind of where we're at here for Chiliz. Hope this made sense. And all in all, I would say the macro looks bullish. The micro, I would say potentially bearish, just in the sense of a pullback. It seems pretty likely at this point, based on overextension patterns that we're seeing and some, obvious well over 70 on the RSI on multiple time frames. That's usually a cause for concern, in my personal opinion. One last thing we could look at, and I do like to look at this here, is just to quickly identify the 15. We are still working within the Bollinger Bands are starting to pinch, and that does kind of tell us that we could see a rejection to the downside here. But again, different types of strategies. Volume weighted average price is also showing we're kind of maxed out there, but we have a potential support right around 23 cents. So again, shorting, if you do short, you may just want to short with a really quick take profit target of somewhere in like the 23.5 cent range, so you're not left with an open, like super long swing trade or whatever it is that you're deciding to do. Just a thought there. All right. Well, all in all, good stuff here from Chiliz. I hope this made sense and that you learned something here today, of course. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to learn a lot more, cryptocash.tech is a site, link in the description below. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Thanks again for your time.